Actually, this is the perfect place to do this interview because in Sweden, I think the films of Bergman and his cinematographer, whose name is escaping me at the moment, yeah, I think they're the ones that really developed a lot of this. I think Fellini did a lot of it in the 50s and 60s as well with their use of color. And I noticed with a lot of the Swedish filmmakers that I work with, there's a tendency to use splashes of color in a very monochromatic palette that you've started with, and all of a sudden there'll be a very bright patch of color somewhere in the scene, or it'll appear like someone will be wearing a very bright red dress or deep red dress, or there'll be some deep red element of the set or something, and I've noticed a lot of that in Swedish films. I'm just thinking, I was just looking at a box set of Bergman films. I think one of the movies in it was Cries and Whispers, and that's got some of that. And I see where a lot of this comes from. Just watching that the other night, where all of a sudden it's a very it's mostly interior, that movie if I remember correctly, but every now and then the maid or somebody, she's wearing this very deep red dress, and next thing you know they're having a passionate love scene or something. But maybe that was a portent of that. I know that Coppola, when he was filming The Godfather, he had this thing about oranges, the color orange, and the actual fruit, an orange. And he'd have a bowl of oranges on the table. And every time, he said, if you watch The Godfather 1 and 2, he said, every time you see somebody eating an orange, or there's oranges in the set, someone's about to die. And I don't know if it's a Sicilian, Italian thing or what, but he said, we use that as a clue that someone in that scene, or someone they're talking about, is gonna get killed. So it's really interesting if you go back and look at The Godfather, that actually is, they'll sit there and someone will pick up an orange and start eating it, and they're talking about they need to bump this guy off because he's an enemy of their family or whatever. So I mean, there's a lot of subtle ways that you could probably point out other examples, but those are two that just stick out in my head, you know.